Hey guys, what's up? Sora here, back with another Shadowverse video, and today is June 17th, 2018, and we're going to be taking a look at the cards that were released over the last 7 days. I know that I haven't published to this channel for a while. This week has been really busy, and there's been a lot of cards that have been coming out. I've been really excited for a lot of them, just keeping up with all of the new tech that's coming out. But without further ado, let's get started. Let's take a look at some of these new cards. So let's start off with Day Secret Agent. Day is a 4 drop 1/1 sword that has Ambush. And she has Fanfare Choose, put either Evan, Novice Agent, or Infiltration into your hand. Before we take a look at the card sheet, let's take a look at the related cards first. Novice Agent is a 0-drop, very reminiscent to that Shadow card. She is essentially a 0-drop 2/2, but then gets Stormed if you evolve her. And on evolve, she also deals 2 damage to an enemy follower, which is very, very interesting. Then her other choose card, Infiltration. Draw until you have X cards in your hand, X equals the number of cards in your opponent's hand. So, kinda like, it reminds me of a Pokemon card. I think N. N has a very similar effect where you effectively have enough or the same number of cards between the two of you. So this might be a really good way for Sword to catch up. So let's take a look at these cards first, right? So they seemingly to be unimpressive. 4 drop 1/1 is very expensive. Of course, had to be balanced because of her fanfare, right? But Ambush is not something to be trifled with, if I learn anything from Sword, especially if you have a 0-drop follower cross it. So really, at the least, you're getting 0-drop or 4 play points for 3/3 worth of stats without spending any sort of evo point above that. So you get a 0-drop 2/2 and a 4-drop 1/1 with Ambush. Not bad. Speaking of the 0-drop, Evan herself isn't that bad at all either. She can go face, so may find a home in several aggro lists, especially because she gets rid of something in the way, potentially a ward. So she might see play just because of that, even in aggro, despite Day herself really costing a lot, being a 4-drop 1/1 ambush. So she may clear the way for Day to get that 1 face damage in. Like I said, it's kind of clunky for aggro, so it definitely will require some playtesting, but it is a possibility there. However, the card I'm most excited for is Infiltration. This seems really powerful, especially in an aggro list. Aggro Sword dumps their hand 1, 2, 3, 4. By turn 4, especially if you're going first, you probably only have 2 cards in your hand. Even if the opponent only has 5 or 4, that's at least a draw 2. And lo and behold, if your opponent has more than that in her hand, like 9 cards in their hand, like if you're finding something like Ginger Rune is going to rotate out, but if you're going to fight against a control deck that always has like a grip of cards, a 2 play point spell draw 5, 7, 8, that's insane in aggro. Like, you're giving them so much gas. So I would expect Day to see play just for this card. Nothing else, just for Infiltration. Like I said, her both her choice effects are very interesting, but Infiltration, I feel like that can break open the meta for aggro Sword. Alright, next card, very, very, very exciting. We are doing this right, people. Mordecai is coming back. Very excited to see that, especially as a Shadow main. So let's take a look at his new effects. Mordecai has Fanfare Necromancy 6, Evolve this follower. Evolve this follower was summoned using Reanimate, so that's really interesting. Right now, the earliest you can get him is probably turn... Well, in Unlimited, you get him turn 5 if you can. And then Evolve. So turn 5, 7, 7, last word summon, and then Evolve Mordecai, Eternal Duelist. That's really, really cool. I'm not sure if this actually counts. So evolve this follower because someone using Reanimate, and then if you trigger the last words, does that count as reanimating something? I don't know. I do not think so. So especially because the fanfare doesn't trigger on the last words because you summon it. it'll be interesting to see whether you just get to reanimate him once, or does he stay on the board a la old Mordecai. So that to me is kind of like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that. However, Zeus he is not. He is only a 10 drop 7/7 that essentially has the poison apple built into him. So he's not a 5/10 storm. He's not a 5/10 ward. But still a very worthy reanimate target. Especially if you can cheat him out earlier than turn 10. Turn 8 right now is the most fair, quote-unquote, time where you can cheat him out using Death Dragon Caller. But there may be new cards coming out in this set that will allow for even earlier setup. Oh wait, no, there's even earlier than that. Ceridwen, I'm forgetting. Ceridwen can technically bust him out at turn 7. And at turn 7, a 7/7 that will revive itself, that might be a little bit more powerful. So, very, very glad to see Mordecai back. He's not busted or anything like that, but I'm very glad to see him back. I expect him to see at least some play in the first month of the new expansion. Lady Grey Deathweaver is a silver for Shadow. She is a 2-drop 1/3 with Drain, and then an Evolve, she gets full Evolve stats. She gets Reanimate 2. Very interesting because of the Drain effect. Shadow, up until this point, only has had one reliable source of heal, and that is Ceres. This might solve that. This might help alleviate the fact that Shadow has no heal, or very little heal. So I expect her to see at least some playtesting just for that. And the Reanimate 2 is a nice to have, especially imagine a turn where you play Andre Alpha's turn 2, turn 3 you play something else, turn 4 you play her, drain something, kill something off, and you reanimate Andre Alpha's. That gets you incremental card advantage. Definitely not the strongest play in the world, but those little things count in the early turn, so I wouldn't counter out. For a silver, she's relatively decent. Good card. Soul Conversion is making a comeback in addition to Mordecai. Destroy an allied follower, draw 2 cards, one of the best Shadow spells in the game. The fact that it's a 1-drop allows you to pretty much get card advantage for free on any follower that's about to die, or an easy way to trigger their last words. Extremely solid include. We'll see a 3 of them in every single deck, just because it's really that strong. And I think Demon Eater is not rotating out yet, or I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure if she's TOTG or Wonderland Dreams. I know she's one of the two. I know she's about to rotate out or going to rotate out now. But either way, regardless whether Demon Eater is rotating out or not, Soul Conversion is a very, very welcome card. And then we have a Havencraft Bronze. Hazen, Priest of the Wind. He's a 2-drop 1/3 with Ward. And then on Evolve, he gets... This is interesting. There's another card that's going to have this later. +4/+4 and Evolve. That's scary. That's a lot of stats. That is a lot of stats. So for a 2-drop 1/3 with Ward, that's already not bad. But then you get him on Evolve, and he becomes a 5/4. Even though he loses Ward, that's +4/+4. Or yeah, +4. Or no, +4/+2. That is going from defense to offense in a heartbeat. I'm glad to see these new evolved archetypes. It's not just your traditional +2/+2 and Rush. This is +4/+1, and with Rush, that's very, very aggressive. Definitely will see play, I think, just for that novelty alone. Alright, next up, we have the Portalcraft Legend, or one of the Portalcraft Legendaries. Silva, Ardent Sniper. She's been causing quite the commotion in the Twitterverse and the Redditverse so far. Let's see what she does. Accelerate. Put a follower that originally costs 3 play points or less from your hand into play. Give it Rush. And then give your leader the following effect. On each of your turns, deal 1 damage to enemy leader for the first time an allied follower attacks. And if you play her on 7, she is a 6/5 ambush with full of all stats. That's seemingly broken on paper. Seemingly broken, right? So you get something on Accelerate 3. You get a 3-drop for free. And you put it into play and give it Rush. So imagine the 3 drops that we have right now. The one that gets an artifact from your deck. Some puppet cards. I know there's a 3-drop puppet card that I'm forgetting right now that's really, really good. For both Portal and Puppet, or for both Artifact and Puppet, she seems like a solid include because she puts a card in for free and gives a really powerful effect, which is essentially from turn 3 onwards, you get 1 damage every time your follower attacks. That is, if that's not aggro, I don't know what is. Potentially really, really powerful, potentially even broken, just because it gives Puppet that chip damage. You know, you guys have seen the Puppet videos, right? Where it's hard to just maintain board presence, let alone put the chip damage in so that Orcus and or Noah can finish. This solves that. This does, or this at least helps solve that, where you can get chip damage on turn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 without anything, before even the Orcus turn. You're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chip damage in for free just because of her. Moreover, she stacks. There's no doesn't stack here. So imagine that you get 2 damage and then 3 damage every time a follower of yours attacks. By the time the Noah turn comes down, like, it's not going to be unfeasible for the opposing player to have single digit life, even without attacking them to face directly. Potentially very, very powerful. Welcome include to Portal Craft. And then we have a 5-drop Dragon card, True Dragon's Kathaka. If Overflow is active for you, or not active for you, deal 2 damage to this follower and gain an empty play point orb. If Overflow is active for you, give your leader the following effect. Subtract 2 damage from the next source of damage dealt to your leader. Very utility based. So she either gets a play point on 5, so a la Sybil, right? But then becomes a 5/3. Or she gets subtract 2 damage from the next source of damage dealt to your leader. That Overflow effect isn't as strong. That's the thing. It's definitely not Sybil. Sybil can still help at 7, 8, 9. I don't see the effect of the leader protection to be that valuable because it's only subtract 2. It's only 1 time. It might save you at some point, and also the fact that she doesn't have any other keyword like rush or anything like that means that she's essentially going to be defensive card, a pseudo defensive card late game. I'm not sure if I like her or not. Again, I like the fact that you have ramp options on 5, or whenever you have 5 play points that you can get from 5 to 6 without spending any other ramp effect, and you get a 5/5 body, in that case 5/3 body, which is still very relevant in that mid game. Requires playtesting, but I'm not as wowed as the other cards so far. Catalina Sky Guardian. I was fully expecting her to be a legendary. She's not. She's just a silver. She's a neutral card with 6-drop 4/4 ward, and she cannot receive more than 3 damage at a time, and then evolve full stats, same effect. Very, very simple. We've seen this effect before with Lux, I believe. No, the rabbit. I'm forgetting. The Haven Rabbit. I'm forgetting her name. I know chat or comment will will kind of flame me for that one, but Luxhorn Sarissa or something like that. Anyway, very, very similar effect. 4/4 ward. Not the best stats, honestly, for a 6-drop. So it's kind of like Lion Champion-esque too. So she's competing in that slot. And I think Lion Champion right now is better against those wide boards. But if the meta does move to bigger boards where there's like just this big follower that's going to be threatening on turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, she then might be useful. Also, interestingly, you can evolve her into something big and she will only take 3 damage. So she will definitely live on an evolve, despite what the power of the other card is. But yeah, not as strong as I was expecting, especially for a title card of the set. Like, she was very prominent on the trailer. Rackham Airship Pilot. 4-drop 3/3 neutral card, bronze. and he has the effect, whenever this follower attacks an enemy follower, deal 3 damage to that follower before it can deal any damage in return. And then evolve, same as unevolved form, powerful. So, very, very powerful effect, can easily trade into something. What's her name? I'm forgetting her name. Zwei, and Victoria. So Ala Zwei, Ala Victoria. 4-drop, 3/3. The fact that he doesn't have Rush is kind of preventing him from really becoming that good. Because if you think about Geno or anything like that, if he had Rush, he would be a solid include in Constructed. But right now, I think he's a Take 2 card. Alright. Narmaya Ephemeral Blade. 4-drop, 4/3 gold. Bloodcraft. She has Bane on Unevolved, and then Unevolved gets full evolve stats, still retains the Bane, and then Evolve, destroy an enemy follower, deal damage to your leader until the defense drops to 10, if Vengeance is not active for you. So she is the new Belphegor, the new quote-unquote balanced Belphegor. You do have to spend an Evo to get there, but in exchange for the draw, you get to destroy an enemy follower, and she gains Rush. So she essentially will 2-for-1 on an Evolve. Very powerful. The unevolved stat is kind of a shame because 4/3, like I said, the magic number for removal in Shadowverse is 3 right now. So it's really hard for her to survive a lot when you just drop her. Very easily answerable. However, that evolve is very, very powerful. That's a combination essentially of a Belphegor as well as her line is time for fun and games. I'm also forgetting the name of the card. Anyway, Emeralda. Yeah, there you go, Emeralda. So essentially a combination of Belphegor and Emeralda. Those two effects are very powerful. A way to trigger Vengeance outside of Waltz, and also with Belphegor rotating out, I think she's going to be a welcome include. Yeah, very, very solid card. We'll see constructed play. Not as good as Bell, but very solid nonetheless. Charlotta, Tiny Justice. She is a Swordcraft commander, 3-drop, 2/3 ward, and then on Evolve gets full Evolve stats. All allied followers can't be damaged by spells and effects until the end of your opponent's turn. Very good against Rune. Very, very good against Burn Rune. She might be a 2-of in some decks. Like, this can break open a game. If we have learned anything from Black Queen, that effect can end games. Black Queen will help stuff stay on the board, as you've already seen from Dawnbreak Night Edge. This further reinforces that, so you can get something off a 3, not just a 4. Really powerful. Will see play in decks just because of that evolve effect. Sutera of the Sacred Bow, 4-drop, 4/3 Forest Craft card. She has a Fanfare draw card, so she cycles herself, which is always nice. And then Evolve only gets +1/+1, but in exchange, whenever this follower attacks, deals 1 damage to all enemy followers. So she has, I believe, Fire's effect out of Ice. No, Ice. That's Ice's effect, I think. Or Flame and Glass, so she has Glass's effect. This Glass is really, really strong. Let's put it that way. Glass has always been a strong gold card, and the fact that you're getting this effect at silver, that's not bad, especially because she replaces herself too. So, very unassuming card at first glance, but if the meta stays wide, like especially in the mirror match, she's a godsend. Like 4-drop, 4/3 Fanfare that cycles herself and has that evolve. She's pretty dang good against a wide board. I would expect her to see play. Even at the first month of Dawnbreak Night Edge, where everyone's shifting from potentially a wide board to potentially a big board. But in a wide board meta, she's absolutely golden. So solid card regardless. We'll definitely see play in Take 2. High priority pick in Take 2. May see play in Constructed just because of that evolve. That evolve is nothing to be slept on. Black Witch Anna, Runecraft, Bronze. 2 drop 2/1. Last words deal 1 damage to an enemy follower, and then last words deal 3 damage to random enemy follower. So exactly the opposite of Pig. Yeah, exactly the opposite of Pig, where she gets the 3 damage boost on an evolved effect. The fact that she's a 2/1 means that she's easily traded into. She's a 4/3. I do not think that she'll see a ton of constructed play, although 3 damage to a random enemy follower, if you trade stuff into her smartly, where there's no other enemy followers on the board, then you get rid of her effect entirely. Yeah, I think that she's a take 2 card, not going to be seen constructed. Alright, next card, Pyreworm Commander. Dragon card, 4 drop 3/3, and then put a Blazing Breath into your hand, and then put a Lightning Blast into your hand on Evolve. Full Evolve stats. Very good. That's all I can really say. Very straightforward. It's burn, burn, burn. Lightning Blast destroys a follower and an amulet, or just a follower? I'm not sure, but either way, this is just removal on a stick, 2 for 1 removal. The fact that you evolve, you get Rush, and then you get to Blazing Breath something else, or you get to Lightning Blast something else. That's just really, really solid, guys. There's not much more to say about this card. I think he will definitely see play in Ramp Dragon. Restless Parish. If you have 2 play points, choose. Play this card as either Nightfall or a Madness Reveal. If played for 0, it has a countdown 1. Fanfare, deal 1 damage to your leader, last words, draw a card. Okay, and this is a Blood Amulet, by the way. Let's see the 2 play point, the choose effect. Choose. Nightfall, at the end of your opponent's turn, summon a forest bat, countdown 2, so you will get at least 2 bats. And at the end of your opponent's turn, so it's very similar to that card from Treasure Map. I'm forgetting the name, that summons a zombie with Necromancy 4 at the end of your opponent's turn. And meaning that that follower can immediately attack next turn. So that's potentially very powerful because you're getting it at the end of your opponent's turn. Madness Revealed is the more interesting card of the two. Countdown 1, Fanfare, deal 4 damage to your leader. And then last words, restore 8 defense to your leader. So enable Vengeance for 1 turn, for 2, and then trigger your Vengeance card, and then the last words next turn is you're going to restore 8 defense. So essentially gaining 4 life net. Now that does risk you of being bursted down because of the Fanfare effect, but in exchange you get to activate Vengeance, and you get life gain at the end of the deal. So definitely not bad. I think we'll see play, at the very least playtesting and constructed. Potentially very, very powerful effect. I would not sleep on this card at all. And with Belfort going away, things to enable Vengeance are almost always welcome. Next card, a Drumelik. Dragon card, legendary. 7 drop 0/6. With Accelerate 3, which is draw 2 cards. That already is powerful. That's all you need to know about this card. That, like, Accelerate 3, draw 2 cards. That is Pure-Hearted Singer on a spell, which helps Lindworm. And speaking of Lindworm, he has Fanfare when you play him for 7. Gain plus X plus 0, X equals, or deal X damage to an enemy follower. X equals the number of non-follower cards you played this match. The buddy to Lindworm. The smaller brother Lindworm, no question about it, will see play in Lindworm decks 100%. Supports the archetype, either as a secondary finisher or as an enabler for Lindworm. Cannot say enough things about this card. 0/6 on 7, that 6 defense is relatively easy to reach on a 7 drop, but the fact that he already gets rid of something even without spending the evolve point, as well as being a big body himself, solid, solid, solid include for the Lindworm deck, will definitely see play. Dragon Sanctum is a 3-drop amulet for Dragon. If you have at least 3 play points and Overflow is active for you, choose. Play this card as either a Trample or a Whirlwind. So if you play normally off Overflow, it has Countdown 1, Last Words, gain an empty play point orb, new way to ramp, really. So kind of like a time-delayed Dragon Oracle. Not bad, not great either off Overflow, because you only get that ramp. and it's a tempo loss for you. It doesn't do anything on landing. However, when you do have overflow, you can get trample, countdown 1, last words destroy a random enemy follower. If we have learned anything in Shadowverse, these RNG random enemy follower effects can be really, really strong, just because they get to ambush, just because they go through wards, just because it really doesn't care of what is on the board. Really, really strong. I do not underestimate random destroy enemy follower effects, just because you can easily manipulate the board where it can clear anything. You know what I mean? It can clear like Spawn of the Abyss or something, like very, very easy. Countdown 1 also makes it really hard to dodge, especially because if they play something that's really high value, let's say on turn 8, and then they play this card that's really hard to trade into without losing your own tempo because your own follower is about to be destroyed. And then 3 Whirlwind, countdown 1, last words deal 2 damage to all enemy followers, so it has an answer for a big board as well as a wide board. Extremely, extremely versatile card. Will see play in Lindworm, absolutely, 100%, because it is early game ramp or late game answer to the board, as well as increasing that count for Lindworm. Will definitely see play in that deck. This is essentially the Lindworm tweet, huh? Yeah, it can deal with a big board or a wide board. Lindworm will run it, no questions asked. Let us move on. Next card is Shamu and Shama. Noblekin. Forest card, 3-drop 2/3. Fanfare, choose either put a Shamu's Antics or a Shama's Gaze into your hand, and they get full evolve stats. Now let's take a look at those spells. The Antics card is a 2-drop, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, restore 2 defense to your leader. Okay, that's fair. And then Gaze is given enemy follower -X/-0 until the end of turn, or your opponent's turn. X equals the number of other cards in your hand. I'm not sure how I feel about this card. It definitely is unassuming. So 2/3 on a 3-drop isn't groundbreaking, and she doesn't have any other, or they do not have any other effects in their kit at all other than the cards that they produce. So long story short, 3-drop vanilla, right? Shamu's Antics is essentially a new, what's that card called? The one that deals 2 damage to an enemy follower, Sylvan something. Sylvan Justice, there you go. Sylvan Justice will produce a fairy. This one will restore defense to your leader. Forest, I guess, doesn't have, because we'll see Crystalia Erin rotate out. So I guess this is a source of healing. And it also controls the board, so Antics is actually pretty solid, although it hiding behind a turn 3 means that the earliest you can get this off is turn 4. Whereas Sylvan Justice, you get that at turn 2. So, maybe good, especially going first as a tempo play. So playable in that respect, I guess. This one, Shama's Gaze, remains to be seen whether this will be good or not. Because -X/-0 until the end of the opponent's turn. So you're essentially turning off a follower up until your next turn. We have not seen that effect, or we have not seen that card in a while now. So if they play something really, really aggressive on their turn 4, or on their turn 3, you can essentially turn off that follower. Let's take the Boy Who Cried Wolf, for example, like 2-drop 3/1, right? You then make that a 0/1. So you prevent a lot of damage coming into you, and you make it easy to trade into them as well. Although, why would you trade into them if you already had the choice of the spell anyway? So I guess this has a little bit more late game value for Control Forest. This is where I see this card being played, as in Control Forest. To not replace Erin. Nothing can replace Erin, not yet at least. But I can see this being in Control Forest just because it does allow for value trades. It does allow for life gain to get to your big payoff spells. So Control Forest card, I'm not sure if it's that great, but definitely very utility, or very high utility. Princess Tina! Oh, Tina is coming back. Was neutral, now sword. At the end of your opponent's turn, or at the end of your turn, I should say, put a random 1 play point Swordcraft follower from your deck into play, and then same as the unevolved form. This is a support for Spartacus. Nothing other than that. And it also supports the legendary Latham, because a random 1 play point Swordcraft follower from your deck into play, and then that follower gains Storm. Although it does happen at the end of your turn, so it can't attack on the same turn. So I guess the Storm... No, never mind. It's not support for Latham, because at the end of your turn, the Storm doesn't really matter at that point. So no, it's not. It's Spartacus. This is more fodder for Spartacus. I'm not sure. I haven't really seen a lot of 1-drop sword followers so far. And she is only limited to getting swords, so she cannot grab Goblin. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how well she is going to be or not going to be. 4-drop 3/3 isn't bad. She does get full evolve stats. For a bronze, she's interesting, but it remains to be seen how whether she's going to be good or not is going to depend on the pool of 1-drops we're about to get. And of course, we're getting our first leader skin. This is not, okay, let me be clear about this. This is not the poll winner. This is not the poll winner. This is not the poll winner. Spinaria was already planned. She wasn't even in the poll. So the fact that we are getting Spinaria is just a bonus on top of the poll. The poll results are going to be revealed very, very soon. But right now, we are getting Spinaria in the next set as one of the new gacha leaders. Or gacha, yeah. One of the new gacha leaders. So very, very cool. Spinaria, it does see meta play. And she is also going to still be in rotation, so as far as leader cards are concerned, definitely will be wanting one of her. Not a die-hard fan, but I will absolutely welcome a Spinaria. We're also... Oh, even more spoiler cards. I thought that was the end of the spoilers, actually. Artifact Spark, 5-drop. Transform an artifact card into your hand into an Artifact Spark. So you essentially get to clone the card if you have an artifact card in your hand. And then deal 4 damage to an enemy leader. This card can only be played when a targetable artifact is in your hand. So you have to have an artifact, number 1. And number 2, it deals 4 damage to face. I'm not sure if Portal needs it. Although Portal, and when someone has countered Artifact Portal quite a bit, then the problem becomes Reach, right? Because your only finisher at that point is going to be Saphira. It does help with that, where if you have just a bunch of artifacts in your hand rather than keep playing them with the DEM, because of your, it's a good way to dump those play points, right? So let's say you have DEM as well as Acceleration, clear the board, clear the board, clear the board, you still end up with either 8, 9, or 10 play points. It's a good way to end that turn, and then get a new grip of your hands while dealing damage, right? And also, it does help with the fact that it's kind of like Chain Lightning, where you can recur it, technically speaking, by using another artifact in your hand, but you get to recur it. I see potential here. The only real bad thing about it is it cannot target enemy followers, so it can't help clear the board. Although I guess Artifact never really needed help clearing the board unless you are talking about Forest. So I think we'll see experimental playing constructed. Palmer, Erstis Pride, 6-drop, 4/6, Bloodcraft Silverwood Ward, 4/6, and then this is the other card I was talking about earlier, where he gets +4/+4 on Evolve, still retains the ward, and at the start of your turn, deal 3 damage to this follower. Extremely aggressive. So essentially, you're talking about an 8/10 on turn 6. That's pretty freaking big. Number 1. He also has ward, so he protects a lot. Even at the end of your turn, so let's say it trades into 8/10, so it becomes an 8/7 at the end of your turn, so you can only trade up until a 6 power follower in order for him to stay alive the following turn, and he is almost always going to die on turn 7, even if the opponent cannot trade into it. However, here's the thing: it has ward. So imagine this scenario. Palmer comes in on turn 6, then he kills a follower on the board, and then he becomes an 8/1, right? Now, the smart play would be to just let him die because he's about to die next turn. However, he doesn't... however, someone else might be hiding behind that. Someone else with high power might be hiding behind that. For example, like Waltz or something like that. Imagine that scenario happening. If you do not trade to him into that with that turn, then you're allowing whoever he's defending behind him to come in next turn and attack you again. Yes, he does get rid of himself, essentially. However, you cannot ignore those stats, number one. Number two, he also allows for very, very explosive plays on turn 7, especially if he can protect something of value on your opponent's turn 6. Do not sleep on this card. I think this is very powerful. Sarunan, Cursebound Lover. Shadowcraft Bronze 2/2. Fanfare, Necromancy 6. Remove all effects from an enemy follower except it changes to attack and defense. Wow. That is super duper interesting. First card of its effect where it just removes everything. Oh, no. We technically have seen the card. The White Sword from Devil of the Gaps. However, this allows it to be attached to anything, even enemy followers. That is potentially really strong. A tech card for sure, for Shadow, because Shadow cannot banish currently, at least I don't think so. In exchange, you can just remove anything that has a very powerful last words, for example, Jorm, for example, Not, where normally Shadow wouldn't have an answer to it, and now this is an answer. You can remove Ward, you can remove, yeah, just a lot of things. You can remove it from, whatchamacallit, you can remove it from B&B, you can remove it from, yeah, I can see this being a tech card. 2 of index. He may not be an auto-include, but definitely an option. Cards that came in FFG or Fall from Grace, I feel those cards are really unassuming when you think about them initially, but they turn out to be really key cards to counter your opponent's deck. I fully expect him to see play, even just as a 1-of or a 2-of in Shadow deck. Jessica, Cheerful Cannoneer. She's a 3-drop 3/2 with Fanfare. Give +1/+0 to an allied Portalcraft follower. If the follower can be targeted, the opponent can only target that follower. Okay, so essentially giving the Cupid effect to someone else, as well as relatively being aggro because she gives +1/+0, so she also has Babcath's effect. Potentially really strong because she's also a 3/2 by herself. So she's also aggro oriented. I can see her being played, although she does compete with Cat Cannoneer in the same slot, and she doesn't have Rush for herself, so it'll be interesting. It really depends on what the early turns for Portal look like. That +1/+0 is really nice to get that initial damage in. I expect her to see at least some playtesting. She doesn't produce any artifacts, so she also doesn't have Rush. I think Cat Cannoneer is technically still the better card, but it depends on how many targeted removal cards we're gonna get. The more we get, the more effective she will be to counter those. So we'll see. And I think that is it. We also got Korwa Ravishing Designer as one of the new leader skins from Brigade of the Sky. She also has a card. I will not be going through that card yet because I want to go off the cards in I want to go off the cards that are announced on the Shadowverse's Twitter rather than what I did last week, which is going through Reddit. Just because it's a lot cleaner this way. I may do a full set reveal at the end, or review at the end of this spoiler season cycle, but I think going off Shadowverse's Twitter is a lot more manageable. And we do not need to review every single bronze card, every single silver card that goes out there. So, also, the other thing about this leader card, according to a Reddit, she will not be a gacha leader. You can get her, I believe, through crystals. So she's going to be really nice. Since we don't know much about Tarwa, I'm actually going to play this. Let's see. There we go.
weave a beautiful story.
I believe she's a forest leader too, or forest card too, I'm not sure. Yeah, she's a forest card, yeah.
Come! Our story awaits. Child's play.
Yep. So,
I walk my own
pretty
path.
cool leader. I'm glad that she's not going to be a gacha leader. So, people that have been unlucky, i.e. myself, have an option other than Orisa as well as Arya. Really, really nice of Shadowverse to do that. Or side games to do that. Although you still technically do have to pay for her. But at the very least, you have that option for a new leader. And that pretty much does it for the preview cards. Now we're going to go in-game for a last update for me. Alright, so thank you guys for watching the preview video. Also, this day marks the actual birthday of Shadowverse. This is their 2-year birthday on June 17th. I figured to do something a little bit special, nothing too big, and that is really just opening the packs that we've gotten from the anniversary gift so far. At this point, I think we just ran through the first cycle from Tempest of the Gods to Dawnbreak Night Edge. I've opened all of the Tempest of the God pack set because I wanted to get access to those cards as early as possible, and I did open the Dawnbreak Night Edge because I've been hunting for walls. Everything else, however, we still have. Also, we have this new giveaway that they did, which is a legendary card pack ticket. So we're going to claim that now. I think this actually has an animation attached to it. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, it does have an animation attached to it. Okay, so we're going to be opening these packs right now, starting from Wonderland Dreams. And then we're going to see what we get as we celebrate Shadowverse's birthday. Thank you, Side Games, for having this wonderful, wonderful game. Really big fan of it. And let's see what we get as we celebrated Shadowverse's birthday with Side Games. What are our presents? In other words. Alright. So Wonderland Dreams is actually pretty special for me because that's the set where I started. I remember Beauty and the Beast being one of those most OP cards. Remember this being a 5-drop, so Shadowverse has come a long way since then, and personally I've been a really big fan of Shadowverse just because it's, I guess, really good design. I found myself really enthralled by its design. Like I said before, Worm God of Skies, I believe that is number 2? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's number 2. I've been a really big fan of how the set operated, starting from Cerberus and all that, Ector. I remember my first crystal buy was the 3 Shadow pre-built. So yeah, it's been really good memory so far, and I'm looking forward to playing this more with you guys down the road as we head into Brigade of the Sky. As we go through each set, I'm going to talk about the memories I've had of those sets. This particularly, I still have not had Daria. Daria is one of the first gacha leader that I've really wanted. Up until Cerberus came, she was probably like my most desired one. And Starforge also brought... what was my favorite card in Starforge? Crap. I know I have a favorite card in Starforge. Maybe we'll get him or her or not. Trying to remember like what card defines Starforge for me. These. Yeah. This is the card. This is the deck that had that Fate crossover, where you got the Fate cards as alternative versions of these cards. So yeah, those define the options for me. And I remember playing with Dark Blade Feet a lot, just because she was actually a very powerful 5-drop, despite being just bronze for Shadow. So really respect that. And I think this is a no legendary pack, which is fine. Never mind. Never mind. We got Medusa. That's really, really nice. I think that is number 3. I'm pretty sure that's number 3 or number 4, one of the two. Because I know I got one of her in the blood pack, and I know I cracked one recently. So that's nice to have. Chrono. Of course, you guys already know at this point. I've tried for Cerberus so many times. I have given up officially. If we get Cerberus here, that'll be fantastic. However, yeah, this was the Cerberus set for me. Also, this also introduced Portal into the game. So this makes it one of the most valuable sets, especially if you want to play that class, because it has a lot of the foundations for that class. Acceleration is an auto-include. Deus Ex Machina is also an auto-include. So, definitely for any new player starting out in Shadowverse, I actually recommend Chrono Genesis more than anything else because it's the new base set. It's the new standard set. Ooh, okay. I'll take those. Animated Mysteria. This is getting pretty lucky. No leaders, but definitely very, very lucky. We have gotten a legendary out of all the card packs we've tried to open so far, and Mysteria is definitely welcome. She's going to be in the Burn Rune deck after this next rotation. And Insect Lord, that is number 4 because I crafted 3, so that's good for a 5-pack. 2 legendaries, not bad at all. Like I said, we don't have any more Dawnbreak Night Edge. And then let's open this legendary card pack. I believe this contains 8 cards, including at least 1 legendary card. Let's see who we get. A birthday present from Shadowverse / Cygames. Oh, that's beautiful, guys. That's actually really, really beautiful. That's pretty sweet. Alright, let's see who we get here. Let's actually open this one at a time because it's only 1 pack. I want to open this one at a time. Ah, that's sick. I want to relish this. Okay, not legendary. Okay. Wow, this is a bad this is a bad thing. I've seen people get 2 legendaries here, but who's the legend? Okay, Animated Cinderella. Unfortunately, Support Canada is rotating out. The fact that she's animated is really, really cool, though. Animated Cinderella. Yeah, with Support Canada rotating out, she's actually not going to be that great, even though she stays in Wonderland Dream. So I hope we can find a use for her. I believe that is my first Cinderella as well, so really nice to have at the very least. Yeah, I just wish Support Canada wasn't rotating out. But all in all, I definitely cannot complain about those cards. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to Brigade of the Sky as much as I am. It's about a week and a half away, but until then, thank you guys for watching. Happy birthday to Shadowverse. I'm looking forward to more days with you guys to come this year. Thank you, and catch you later.